Hello everyone and welcome back to From Our Basement Gaming!
Hey everyone!
We are back with part 2 of our Metroid Let's Play.
Yep. We're doing it the old-fashioned way too, I would add.
Yes, passwords.
Yep.
Passwords. Yep, so, we hope the beginning of your new year is going well so far.
I hope so too.
We hope you've been enjoying the new games on our channel.
Same.
We certainly are enjoying the fresh start. Yes. Good. Always nice to have the power-ups.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. This game always had great music, too.
It does.
Yep. So I am going to eat my snack, so don't mind if you hear some crinkling, and if I'm a little bit quiet off and on.
Of course.
Ah, yes. Samus.
Yep. Everyone's favorite bounty hunter.
And it shook our world when we realized that Samus is female.
Yep. The Earth moved.
Mm-hmm. And we all rejoiced.
Yep.
Ah, yes. All the music that was remade in the newer games.
Yep.
It's that iconic. Oh no.
Well, one positive is it'll start us right where we left off.
Yeah.
Because this is a checkpoint.
Yes, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you'd have to start from the very beginning.
Right.
That would be a no.
Would be a nightmare.
I love how expansive this feels despite being an NES game.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. Yes, very good. Ooh.
Another spot that I came too early, but
Oh, I hope not either.
yeah. I love it too, even if at times it does feel like I'm being a rat in a little maze.
I can understand that. Oh,
I could boost up my health a bit before I come down this.
maybe.
Tossing the I haven't explored yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have to give good props for being experimental.
Right.
I feel like that was one of his great strengths.
Is this the same guy that made Kid Icarus?
Yes, he did make Kid Icarus as well.
Mm-hmm.
That one was sort of like a mush of everything, because it was like, this game was also like Zelda,
Yeah,
and also like
right.
Mario.
Right. That one's also very difficult.
It is.
Yeah.
It also had a save feature in Japan, but was cut in the US version.
What the heck? I thought we were supposed to have the games be made easier, not harder.
Attribute that to again and thinking that it would not be possible to make a cartridge that could save until somebody proved they could do it.
Yeah. It's like, but if they had noticed that the Japanese cartridge had a save feature, you know, why remove a feature when you're making the US cartridge? And it's like, if you don't know how to do that, ask them how they did it. I don't know. I'm no expert when it comes to how these games were made, especially the retro ones, but
Right.
surely there must have been a way to do it if Japan did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so did get the energy expansion earlier, and I got the missiles.
Alright.
That allows me to have about 199 hit points of energy.
Nice.
Yeah. That is the thing that I feel that they should have been released both of these games with the save feature from the Japanese version.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
But apparently we like passwords here in the States.
Yeah.
And I assume Canada, if they got our copy.
I think they did.
Mm-hmm.
Getting more energy. Yeah. Yo, that's what they were, I guess, iffy about releasing Zelda at first.
Right.
They did not want to cut corners there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a question, should they have just waited until someone proved you could put a cartridge with save features?
I don't know.
There.
I mean, didn't you tell me in the case of Dragon Quest, the save feature was added?
Yes. In the American version of Dragon Quest, we added a save feature, but the original Japanese game had a password feature.
Yeah, so we pulled the opposite of
Yeah,
what we did with these games.
exactly.
So confusing.
It is. I guess it pays us what happens when we get it in 1989, whereas
Right,
they got it in cartridge form back in 1986.
right.
It logically makes sense why I would have a password feature in 86, because...
And the 80s in Japan was a good time to be a video game fan.
Oh yeah.
Gotta love that economic boom that Japan had going on
yeah.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
That they apparently got a little too enthusiastic about, and then somewhere in the mid to late 90s they were like, oh crap, we don't have money.
Yeah, I wonder. I and many experts wonder what happened
Yeah.
to. As far as we knew, it looked like nothing like that was going on until it was starting to finally sink in.
It just seems like they got overzealous with their spending, and they just maybe weren't making back enough of it.
That very well could be.
Because they overestimated the boom they were having.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this wouldn't be the first time that they have gotten overzealous about something and then it ends up hurting them.
Right.
Not to say Japan's the only country that's had that problem. A lot of times that happens.
Pummel here.
Especially when government's solutions make no sense.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the other thing too that played a role. One
Yeah.
of government instability. And
Yeah.
Because I think going into the 90s, that was when the LDP started to make enemies within themselves.
Uh-huh.
And enough people quit that they could not control the government
Right.
for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I just feel bad that what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not trying to be all high and mighty. Our country currently is having an economic crisis. That is only going to get worse and not better. I wish it would get better, but I don't believe the politicians that say they're going to fix it. And that's the most political I'm getting. I'm not saying who. Saying who.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Exactly.
But anyway, yeah, so... Hey, long story short, there was a surplus of video games in the 80s. Video games, anime, bunches of other stuff.
Only had small access to.
Yeah, localization was very strict in the early days.
Yeah. Much ninjas and not enough, and Godzilla, not enough shoujo. And
Yeah.
what was it called? Punk Girls,
Punk Girls?
Yakuza, Sakuban, was it?
I know what you're trying to say, but I don't remember the word.
Same.
But yeah, I think they either were looking for games that would appeal to a wide Western audience, or they wanted stuff that was very distinctly Japanese, and you couldn't have things in between those two extremes. It had to be either it will appeal completely to a Western audience, or it's so Japanese that it'll appeal to a Western audience because... Yeah, oh, and we'll edit it to make it appeal more to a Western audience as well. That's their thought process. Sometimes it was either too Asian or not Asian enough. Which is just insane, but that's basically how localization was back then. I mean, You're laughing because you know I'm right.
I'm holding back the rage and tears.
Yes. Yes.
Not Asian enough.
But you know exactly what I mean, right? You've seen it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have seen it.
Yeah.
Ninja kid.
Yeah, and you know, and then a video game based on a anime and manga that if they had just waited a few years, it would have been extremely popular, so they didn't have to make the edits they made to the game.
Yeah, you could have had a hit series in the 1980s, but no, you did not want to do that, did you, boys? Oh well, I feel equally sad for Cheryl.
Yeah.
Cheryl the Cherry.
I don't know that one.
Oh, I feel bad for the original source material that they made that game.
Oh.
That also was famous Japanese property going over that was technically as old as the 60s, but they brought back in the 80s.
Ah.
About a ghost who was afraid of dogs.
Oh.
And, somebody at Nintendo, one of the companies that work with Nintendo decided this should be about a cherub instead of a ghost.
Okay. This should be about a naked child angel instead of a ghost because of Christian values, and of course we're going to cover up the child. The child won't actually be naked.
Oh.
Yeah.
Although it's me Ninja Kid offends me more.
Yeah. Well, you know, we can't have ghosts because ghosts are the occult, and that's not good.
Oh, yes. And if it's not Dracula and Frankenstein, it's...
Yeah.
Oh, wait, the monster, not Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
I knew what you meant. The one that he doesn't have a name, so people just by default call him Frankenstein.
Yeah, they do.
So to be fair, it's kind of the fault of marketing people.
Yes.
Because, yeah, I get the fact that the monster doesn't have a name in the original story, and that's fine. You know, in book form it works, it's fine. But
oh yeah.
But once you make it into a movie and make cartoons and stuff, you should probably give the monster a name.
Yes.
So that, you know, and since we didn't, it went from being Frankenstein's monster to us just calling the monster Frankenstein. And that's something everybody does across all of Western culture, it feels like. Because people don't want to go, oh, it's Frankenstein's monster. It's kind of a pain in the butt to say all the time.
Yeah.
So they just go, oh, it's Frankenstein. It's easier to say.
Yes. Yes, this is true.
And nobody's going to go, oh, it's monster. So.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. For those who know what we're talking about, you understand my pain.
Yes. But yeah, localization, fun. And then we had well, if it's not a clearly Christian game, we don't want it referencing Christianity.
Oh yeah, that's
or anything that's not Christianity, because... And I understand, we don't want to offend religions, but I think you can have references to religions without it being offensive or bad. Because they were sometimes just little things like cross designs or something.
Yeah.
Like, I get not wanting actual, disrespect of religious symbolism,
Right.
but I almost felt like we were a little too cautious and a little bit too scrubbing stuff out.
Yeah.
Now, I guess to be fair, in the infamous case in Ocarina of Time, I kind of agree with that decision.
Yes, because they used a symbol that was without being aware of the symbolism that was connected to it.
Yes, so with that symbol, first of all, and also with the chanting that they removed. Because it was just that thing where nobody knew it was an actual prayer. And yeah, I do think having a prayer, especially being used in a completely non-religious context, was a bit too much.
Yeah, they just thought it sounded cool and for the people of the temple, but then they actually used a legit prayer that is sacred as a toy, and that kind of is an abuse of.
Yeah, and as it turns out, that was used in another Nintendo 64 game.
Oh,
dear. And they took it out of that game too. So yeah, and you know what it actually is, and I've discovered this thanks to watching certain YouTubers who talk about secrets of music and sound effects in games and how that works. Nintendo, a lot of composers at Nintendo like to use these discs of royalty-free sounds and royalty-free music. They're like stock sounds and stuff. And so that's what happened here. That chanting was on one of those discs. And they had no context for it to know, because it wasn't really labeled as a prayer. I believe it was to Allah, I think. I'd have to look it up again, but, you know, somebody who spoke the language pointed that out, and that's why it became a problem. And so, and for those of you who didn't know why, that's why, all of a sudden they had a re-release of the cartridges. Well, one of the reasons. They also removed blood. Yeah. That was one of the biggest reasons, to remove that religious symbolism and the music on the fire temple.
Yes.
Which... And I bought the soundtrack, by the way, and the soundtrack doesn't have the chanting on it either. So they definitely scraped it clean. I do think... I'd have to double check, but I do think in my... no, I don't. But at the copy I had at my previous house was the one that had the chanting. But the one that I have here doesn't.
Gotcha.
And you might have it, because you have the gold cartridge. Basically, the gold Ocarina of Time cartridge is the original one that has the stuff that was removed. That one also has blood at the end. Blood that was edited to be green.
Yeah. Ganondorf coughs up blood.
Yeah, and I don't think they needed to remove that. I think it looks worse edited.
Are they implying he has green blood, or are they implying that
They're-
something else up.
Are they implying that he threw up? Either way, it just doesn't make much sense. Either way, it would have been better just to, like, edit it more to make it seem like he was just wincing in pain or something.
Yeah.
I really had an issue with it. Because I already have some issues, and I won't go into this too much here. I already have some issues about how they handle Ganondorf and the Gerudo in terms of some uncomfortable implications, but I don't have to go into that here. That's a little bit too serious and probably should be saved for on a Zelda video anyway.
Probably.
But yeah, Metroid. I wish I had more to say about Metroid, but I don't know a ton about the lore.
That's okay.
I just know that I like Samus, and I think she's badass, and I think it's really awesome that a game this early had a badass female hero. I kind of worry that some of the decisions they made with Samus later might not have been great. But, you know, like, maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but I don't like that they made her a blonde.
Yeah,
she didn't.
That was a twist they made in, like, the 90s.
Yeah. I'm like, why do we have to have another blonde? I mean, no offense to people with blonde hair. It just, we had this oversaturation of blonde-haired female characters in video games.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so I'm like, no, give Samus darker hair, please. So yeah, some things with her design, once I found out what she looks like underneath the suit, I'm like, I don't have much problem in Super Metroid. It's after that point. Decisions they made after that point.
Super Metroid.
Well, I saw, thanks to YouTube, the special, you get to see her without her suit. Just meaning you see her face. I'm not. Get your mind out of the gutter, not anything like that.
Okay. Okay, I'll get it out of that gutter.
Yeah. She still had clothes on. You just got to see what her face looked like. And that's when everybody realized, oh my god, Samus is a girl. Even though they would have realized that reading the manual, but you know, the people who didn't realize that from reading the manual learned it that way. That's how I learned it too, to be fair. But that's because I never owned the game. So to be fair to me, I never owned the game, so I couldn't have read the manual.
Right.
Yeah.
Different world.
Yep. Yeah, back then you couldn't just, read it on the internet. Or you had to know where to look. Basically, in the early days of the internet, you could have access to this stuff, but you had to know where to look. It wasn't always as easy to access that kind of stuff.
Right.
In the early days of the internet. I mean, yeah, you had search, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And you could eventually find what you're looking for. But, man, the early days of the internet, so different from now.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, really.
And it's hard to really explain how, but it was just aesthetically so different.
Yes.
The fact that some kids will never know. That's why it's so important to, you know, preserve websites like the Wayback Machine an internet archive. Because otherwise, these things will just be lost to time.
Yeah.
We have our memories, and, you know, those of us who've been there, and we can talk about it, but, you know, the human memory, I hate to be bleak, but doesn't last forever.
No, it doesn't. And this is not something you could just easily dig up from the ground and, like,
yeah.
Oh, this is what this civilization used to do. This is what that civilization did.
Right. If we don't hold on to an archive, they'll never know. And I guess we'll stop here for now, because we're at the 30-minute mark.
Go one last tap.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so we're giving it one last shot.
We will wrap it up.
But yeah, it's not like, you know, if we don't hold on to these archives, and I'm saying this because there are people out there threatening these archives.
Yeah.
If we don't have a way of recording this, historians in the future will have no way of knowing what the early internet was like. We'll just have weird word of mouth recollection. Or AI will try to...
and fail.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm saying it'll try. It'll try to be like, this is what the old internet looked like, and it'll just be some jumbled mess that isn't. Although I worry, AI does seem to be getting better at its job, because some people aren't listening to the experts saying we should stop. Oh well. There's only so much you can do with the people who have the ability to stop if they don't listen.
Correct.
Well, I know I upset somebody on here before when I got into the anti-AI discussion. Who knows, maybe it was an AI. I'm just kidding.
True.
I'm sure it was a human being who was just like, I don't see the big deal. I think it's funny to make Mickey Mouse sing Fly Me to the Moon.
Oh, really? That's what he said?
No. I'm making crap up. I'm saying he might be that kind of person that thinks... Okay, let me explain myself. So, I'm saying he might be that kind of person. I don't know for sure. He might not be this way. I'm not trying to put words in that person's mouth. But they might have been that kind of person who just thinks it's harmless fun to generate stuff with AI because it looks goofy, or it sounds silly, or, you know, you can...
Right.
Basically what I'm saying is, they think it's funny that you can generate a character singing something that the character never sang. Or, you know, never did. If you have an imagination, you can write a prompt and it will show you what that thing looks like. We all kind of... I think it does feed off of that desire that a lot of us have, where we wish we could just print out an image of what our imagination wants to create when we don't have that ability to create it ourselves. It feeds that. It feeds the people who don't have the means to create something they're thinking of.
Man, us artistic types used to just painstakingly craft and mold as best as we could. Sometimes we had to take some liberties with said imagination. Other times we got it down pat and it was way too realistic. Using practical effects.
Right. So, I'm saying it appeals to the people who don't have that talent and don't have the ability to or desire to take the time to learn how to make that themselves.
Let me guess, they don't want to pay us. And it's high time I take a picture of this. And
that
it's
too.
Today's
Alright, bye guys. See you later.